for joining us on this week's edition of Extra. Well, it is an unfortunate day, and we can say the same for some of our children and fellow countrymen who are victims of building collapse in Lagos, victims of political violence, communal clashes, and plane crash. So, you will understand if I am reluctant to say a very good evening to you, more like a Black Wednesday. But it is a Wednesday night and a News Extra night, so news with the extra you will get. And we will start with the sad news of the building collapse and follow that up with matters arising from the Ethiopian airline Boeing 737 crash. We have stories on politics, economy, health, development, and more. As usual, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So sit back, relax, and let's savor the package tonight. This is News Extra, and I am Fatima Abbas Hassan. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed extreme sadness over the building collapse housing a school in Itafaji area of Lagos, which left fatalities, particularly small children. The special advisor to the president, Femi Adesina, says the president commiserates with the government and good people of Lagos State and pledges the assistance of the federal government as may be required by the state. He charged the Lagos State government to do all that is needful so that such a tragic development does not occur in future. The president also sympathized with the parents and relations of the deceased, wishing them God's comfort. He also wishes the injured speedy and complete recovery. Now, human and social science researchers have ranked shelter second in the basic needs of man for survival, and it needs to be properly planned, designed, constructed, and maintained to obtain the desired satisfaction, comfort, and safety, satisfactions that are expected to be followed by engineers. However, concerned citizens have insisted that cases of buildings collapse ought not to have been rampant in Nigeria if regulatory agencies perform their duties to the fullest. And even when such emergencies occur, Emergency Management Authority must step up their games with the right equipment and skill. Adebola Brooksland Sunday takes a look at ways of tackling the challenge in Nigeria.
Every day, new buildings like this springs up across the country, which no doubt is contributing to national development. However, records have shown that untested soil integrity, use of substandard building materials, employment of quacks instead of professionals for the job, and corruption have contributed immensely to most of the recorded building failures. This can be dated back to the first occurrence in Mokola, Oyo State in 1974, with a two-story building, and up to date, similar and even worse cases have been experienced. All these have claimed several lives. In spite of repeated calls by victims, experts, and even other Nigerians, why is it it seems there is no end to this challenge?
Engage the right personnel, you will get the best result. Believe you me, we have been investigating. In many cases, 99% of the cases, you discover that professionals are not involved.
In August 2018, a four-story building which eyewitness said was abandoned for about 18 years before workers were remobilized to sites collapsed near the popular Jabi Motor Park.
Immediately the guy went in, it's not after 5 minutes the building collapsed.
You can say you are not doing supervision. It is not. It is not. If you look at it, you see that everyday development control is demolition such buildings. And if you abandon a building for a while, you have to carry out an integrity test, get the development control to certify before you continue the building.
And what we are seeing physically on the ground need to be tested. The reinforcement, the concrete, and other materials.
At the end of rescue operation, experts collected samples from the rubble to ascertain why the building failed.
Concrete too was discovered to be not meeting required standards. The building totally collapsed. Concrete disintegrated from the reinforcement, which shows that there was no proper binding. The soil strata was also discovered to not have met the requirement for such a high-rise structure.
The latest is the collapse of a 3-story building in Itafaji area of Lagos Island, housing a primary school on its 2nd floor. Strict adherence to quality building materials, right design structure, and proper maintenance culture, experts say, are key to putting an end to building collapse in the country. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
I'm still talking about the building collapse. Now, for today's tragic event, the people living around Itafaji and environs on Lagos Island, it was a sad day following the collapse of a 3-story building at about 10 in the morning. The actual number of occupants could not be ascertained. However, nursery and primary school pupils and residents were in the building as at the time of the incident. Paul Omukago has details of that report.
About 30 to 40 victims trapped in the collapsed building have so far been rescued by the search team of NEMA, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, and the Federal Fire Service. We also have a team
of public-spirited Nigerians who came around to assist in rescuing those who are trapped in the building.
We later come back because it's happened unexpectedly. So we have to rush in there and start to rescue some children.
We had a school on the topmost floor, and that's where we had children casualties.
We were able to use the spreader, we were able to use the cutter, we were able to use the crane and other equipment available to see that we get the number of people that we can. Though work is still in progress.
The search and rescue continues as the exact number of occupants is still unknown at the time of filing this report. However, of concern is a number of clustered buildings in the area, some of which are said to have been marked for demolition, including the 3-story building that collapsed. In Lagos, Paul Omukagu, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Lagos State Governor, Akinwumi Ambode, has commiserated with families of victims who lost their lives in the building collapse, describing the incident as unfortunate. Our correspondent, Nosa Usula, has the details.
The 3-story residential building located at 14 Massey Street, opposite Oja Itafaji, housing a primary school on its penthouse, caved in at about 10 a.m. in the morning, trapping scores of pupils of the school in the process. Governor Ambode described the incident as unfortunate, however, appealing to residents to allow rescue operators the space to carry out their operations without any hindrance, so as to rescue more children still trapped under the rubble.
We have rescued about 25 people and almost about some already dead. But we were earlier informed that it was a school. It's not technically a school. It's a residential building that is actually accommodating an illegal school, so to speak, on the 2nd floor. And all we're trying to do is to continue this operation. Our response units, they're already here, and we're getting additional cranes to be able to go deeper down where we are now to rescue more lives.
The governor said his deputy, Dr. Idiat Adebule, had also visited the hospitals where some of the victims rescued had been taken to, assuring that the state government would immediately take over their treatment and foot their entire bill.
What we are here to do as government is to be with our people at this time. We cannot allow them to go through this pain alone. We must be here to sympathize with them. That is what we are doing.
The governor also assured residents that a full-scale investigation would be carried out immediately rescue operations are concluded, vowing that those found culpable would be severely dealt with in accordance with the relevant laws. In Lagos, Nosa, Osula, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio to discuss on the unfortunate incident is Engineer Kashimali, the President Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN. We're glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
What is the reaction of COREN to this unfortunate development?
It's very depressing for us. As a matter of fact, it was very painful for me this morning because I was just getting ready to have a meeting with a delegate from the Royal Academy of Engineering in England to discuss issues of how to move engineering beyond wherever we are now. And when my attention was drawn to it on the television, I was very embarrassed that at a time like this is happening. And it's even happening in Lagos. Lagos has been doing very well because I think since the time of the immediate past governor, they have been very careful in approvals that they give, and they have been quite compliant with their own regulations. So when it does happen in Lagos, I feel embarrassed. It's like happening in Abuja too, because these are cities that are a bit more modern, and people know the laws. But again, when I further investigate, because when it happens like this, we have what we call the Engineering Regulation Monitoring, ERM inspectors who visit immediately. But when they got there, because of the pathetic nature of the situation, they got drawn into rescue operations. So they couldn't even look at, like I was speaking with the chief inspector, they got there and they were just involved in rescue of the children. In fact, they were there when the headmaster, somebody was identified, the headmaster of the school was rescued. They say he came out alive, but later died on all. So those kind of moments couldn't make them to look at what is the cause for now. But by tomorrow we should be able to begin to
Yeah,
accept.
but this is not the first time. Neither is it the second.
Yes. So again, we keep looking and then finding the river. But the only thing that is a bit encouraging is that this structure is an old structure, an old Lagos eco structure. Number two, ordinarily it ought to have been marked for demolition, but somehow it escaped that. It is being abused. The abuse component is critical because when you have a building meant for residential accommodation, it means you are restricting the number of occupancy. But when you have it now converted to a school, the top floor to a school, you are generating a lot of static and dynamic load all at the same time. If the structure was not designed for that, it's only a matter of time. But again, if somebody was monitoring, perhaps they could have seen that something was going to happen and to have saved us this embarrassment.
Okay, how does COREN, for instance, ensure compliance to standard in the course of project execution by members of the engineering profession? Well, I'm sure if standards were followed, would have minimal.
What we tell people is, because in a building structure, for instance, like this collapse has happened now, the punishment is group punishment. The person responsible for this may not even be in that building.
Okay.
So he will escape. So tomorrow he will try the same thing. But, if somebody is sick, he's sick, he needs treatment. So he's seeing a doctor for safety of his life. So he's able to comply by seeing a doctor instead of seeing a carpenter. If somebody is in trouble, he needs to go to court. He knows that if he's convicted in court, he could go to jail or even get killed. So he gets a lawyer instead of getting an engineer. But unfortunately, when people want to put up buildings, sometimes because they are not likely to live in them, they do all manners of things. For now, there's nothing we can do to parks. But there's a new bill, an amendment to our bill, which is with Mr. President. He promised that he will, at our last General Assembly, he promised that when the bill is sent to him, he will assent to it. We're looking forward to him assenting to it maybe in a few weeks' time. And once that is done, we will be able now to go after even quacks. Because now we can get hold of our own personnel and deal with them. But we can't deal with non-engineering personnel. But when the bill is passed, it will give us more powers to enforce.
So before then what happens? Do we just sit down and fold our arms?
No, there's nothing we can do except to continue to do advocacy, to continue to appeal to people that, because we have advocated over the years as his body that under our laws in Nigeria, if you drive a car God forbid that your car brake failed and you hit somebody and kill, they will charge you for manslaughter. In the meantime, you didn't manufacture that car. You didn't ask it to the brake to fail. But a building where somebody will use his own resources to put up a building, it will come down and kill people, and he will not be charged for manslaughter. The least you can charge, in our opinion, should be culpable homicide, because you knew the time you engaged a quack to do that job, you were planning to fail. And you were planning to fail, and in the course of your failure, people lost lives. You deserve to also lose your own life. If that was a punishment that was meted on people, we would have for long forgotten about this issue of collapses.
So let's look forward to the passage of that bill. Probably we'll get to do something about it. I've been speaking with the president of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Engineer Kashimali. And in other news of the day, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has clarified that presently the accident aircraft type, Boeing 737 MAX 8, is not in operation in Nigeria. The General Manager, Public Relations, NCAA, Sam Adurogboye, who stated this in Lagos, assured the flying public of their safety. Elizabeth Ewuga has more on that.
When Ethiopian airline Boeing 737 MAX 8 crashed on Sunday, the 10th of March 2019, killing everybody on board, it became the second time in less than 6 months that particular plane model was involved in an accident. The first crash was in Indonesia, October last year, killing 189 people on board. In both cases, they were brand new planes, but faltered minutes after takeoff and plunged into a deadly descent, leaving no survivors. No doubt investigations are on, but this latest crash has renewed questions about the safety of the 737 MAX model airplanes unveiled by Boeing in 2017 and sold as a fuel-efficient, technologically advanced upgrade to its popular 737.
We don't have that type in all the Boeing. Don't forget, Boeing aircraft and Airbus, these are the two giants that manufacture commercial planes we are using all over the world. We should not judge to conclude that there is a particular fault until it is proven and established. They will find out what happened. Let's wait for that. But for now, we don't have it in Nigeria. It's not in use. It's not in our register.
On allegation that an indigenous airline has ordered 10 of such Boeing 737 MAX 8 to fly the Nigerian airspace, the GM Public Relations NCAA comment.
It will take 4 years minimum for what they order to be built and arrive. Okay. And I don't expect, and no Nigerian should expect that whatever happen now, they would have found solution to it before they has arrived. And whatever gone wrong, if there is any, we inform the manufacturer to now correct it in their own. So for us in Nigeria, we should go and sleep and have our peace.
Meanwhile, the management of Ethiopian airline in Nigeria has opened condolence registers at their offices in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, and Enugu, as 2 Nigerians were involved in the crash, Professor Pius Adesome and Ambassador Bashua Abiodun. Ethiopian Airline has also grounded all Boeing 737-8 MAX airplanes in its fleet for now. In Lagos, Elizabeth Ewuga, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has joined other nations in the aviation world to formally ban the use of Boeing 737 MAX aircraft into Nigeria's airports. The Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, who announced this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, said this is a response to the safety concerns regarding the aircraft now being investigated. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports that the Council also approved several memoranda aimed at enhancing safety and security in the nation's aviation sector.
Since the crash of Boeing 737 MAX 8 Ethiopian airliner, killing all the passengers and crew members on board, serious concerns have been raised regarding the safety of the aircraft. This is because of the similar incident involving this brand of airplane 5 months ago in Indonesia, almost in the same This meeting of the Federal Executive Council, the first since the 2019 elections victory by the governing APC, critically examined the unfortunate development in the aviation world and resolved to ban the use of such aircraft in Nigeria.
Aviation is universal. Aviation is one. There is no aviation B. And therefore, whatever affects one affects the other, because this craft will be flying in and out. So we have issued directives that no operator with 737 MAX 8 or MAX 9 should operate into and outside of our airports, pending the determination of the actual cause of the crash in Ethiopia, and also pending the outcome of the response of the manufacturer himself, which is Mrs. Boeing.
And to further enhance the safety and security of air transportation in the country, the Council approved a 4.05 billion naira contract for the procurement of various projects at Abuja, Kano and Port Harcourt airports. Another 719.3 million naira is also to be expended towards upgrading and rehabilitating the main intake transformer, instrument landing system and domestic underground 11 kV circuits for Kano Airport. X-ray screening machines, cargo scanners and walk-through metal detectors are also to be supplied and installed at Enugu Airport at the cost of 529.3 million naira, while the abandoned Mina Airport Terminal building is to be completed at 622.5 million naira.
And all of this is geared towards security and safety of our airports and flying public. When we came, Nigeria was scoring about world average, which is about 60%. But since then, since this administration, we've gone to 96.7% on security. By May, we'll be scoring above 98 in security and also above 98 in safety. And this is an audit from International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. And that is the focus of the government policy on aviation, to be sure that we are safe and we are secure before every other thing. And at the same time, of course, tendering to needs of passenger comfort and facilitation, as is evidenced in the various airports that we have finished and commissioned.
On her part, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed announced the approval of the Council for a 64.7 million euro credit facility for the National Urban Water Sector Reform Project in Kano State.
The project is to improve the living conditions of up to about 1.5 million people in the greater area of Kano by improving access to quality water, and also we're seeking to improve the financial viability of the water board by increasing its revenue and enhancing its governance framework. The project is to rehabilitate and build the infrastructure needed to increase access to water services to populations in Greater Kano and to help improve key sector reforms to ensure the sustainability of the project.
The facility from the French Development Agency is at an interest rate of 1.02%, a repayment period of 20 years and a 7-year moratorium period. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And as Boeing international problems continue to mount, the ban of the aircraft by Nigeria is receiving public commendation. Emmanuel Ayimiro was at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, to feel the pulse of passengers.
It is very commendable that the federal government has promptly responded, by banning this aircraft, although we don't have it in Nigeria. But this has further shown how responsive this government is.
I'm aware from information we are gathering that there isn't any airline that has that in Nigeria, but that doesn't mean that the federal government should not follow the lines of all the international, what's been said all over the world. So I think it's a good thing, and I commend the government on that.
The international community in charge of air industry says that this aircraft should be grounded for some time until the investigations are made. That should happen not just in Nigeria, but all over the world.
In the wake of last Sunday's crash of Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8, which killed 157 people on board, not less than 40 countries have grounded the aircraft due to uncertainty surrounding the crash. To this effect, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is not leaving anything to chance, as efforts have been intensified to fortify the nation's airspace through effective regulation.
One of the operators in Nigeria has signified the intention of buying the aircraft. Officially, it has not gotten to our notice, but we are monitoring progress, as I said. Our duty is to ensure that only aircraft that is airworthy is allowed to operate within Nigerian airspace.
So far, more than 350 Boeing 737 MAX have been delivered to airlines across the world, with about 5,000 orders pending. What then is the fate of the ones in the pipeline? Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
All international airlines operating in Nigeria have up to the end of this month to move to the new international terminal building of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The decision to that effect is to enable the renovation of the current terminal as Nigeria continues to upgrade airport facilities to meet international standards. Again, Emmanuel Ayemiro has the report.
Only 5 out of the 14 international airlines operating in Nigeria have moved to the new terminal building, which has the capacity to process 15 million passengers annually. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria says no excuse will be entertained from any airline that fails to move by the 31st of March.
We have met with the airlines, the remaining airlines, and gave them 31st of this month to move into the new terminal that was commissioned by Mr. President on the 20th December 2018. We believe they will have ample time for them to have moved into the terminal.
The new international terminal building of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, has continued to get positive reviews from all.
First time I'm landing in Nigeria and I'm not sweating. Everything seems standard, seems international, and the airport is really, really beautiful. So this airport is amazing. It's international standard. Everything is working perfectly.
Coming from Dubai, and when I got to the airport, I actually thought I'm still in Dubai because the kind of facilities and the kind of treatment that we got here is awesome. It's beyond our expectation. We have seen that government is actually working. The president is actually doing very pretty good.
I actually didn't believe that this was Nigeria because this is not the way the airport used to be. So I'm so impressed and I'm so happy to see this change.
Abuja Airport new terminal building was commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari late last year. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari says the federal government is doing its best towards correcting and reversing the terrible management experienced by the country, saying with some luck, the best of the governing APC will be good enough. The president stated this while receiving a delegation of non-career ambassadors on a congratulatory visit over his re-election for another term in office. State House correspondent Adam Musambu has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari told his guests that Nigeria is trying to live within her means so that the lot of the people can be improved. His administration, he said, is determined to upgrade the country's profile both locally and internationally. To this end, the president said it will be inexcusable for the government not to take care of its ambassadors in their various stations and pay special attention to the country's foreign missions.
The problems of our foreign missions in terms of dilapidating infrastructure of both the offices and the accommodations and the problem you're having in your families, school fees, medical care, is really inexcusable. It's a terrible case of mismanagement of resources and national pride. But we are doing our best to correct the situation.
Ambassador Ashimiyu Olaniyi, who spoke on behalf of the delegation, said President Buhari's election in 2015 and his recent re-election are divine interventions in the affairs of the country.
You have always come out on stage at the critical moment of our national history to right the wrong of the past. You are God sent.
President Buhari, he said, would be remembered as an astute political leader who does not interfere in the political affairs of states, saying that singular quality has given credibility to all elections conducted since 2015. The delegation submitted that apart from records of achievements in the three focal areas of securing the country, reviving the economy, and fighting corruption, the president's integrity is also a critical factor to the renewal of his mandate.
The results of these elections are also a reflection of who the Nigerian people want to lead them. For us, your principal envoy to various countries of the world, our joy is unlimited because your victory will enhance our positive image among the Committee of Nations. It will also consolidate our existing diplomatic relationship with the countries of our various accreditation. Additionally, the international community has come to realize that Nigeria is capable of organizing free, fair, and credible elections.
The ambassadors appreciated the intervention funds that were released to various missions abroad and pledged continued loyalty and support to the Buhari administration. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Now, do you remember about the story about human trafficking involving Nigerians in Mali? Well, there is another twist to that story. Whether for good or bad, find out when we return after these messages.
He is Anthony Joshua!
Inner strength? Yeah, that comes from the hard knocks that life throws at us. And we Nigerians, we know all about that.
Oh, a deadly right.
You don't stay down, you get up and fight. Sure, it's about speed, technique, quality of the punches, reach. But the real fight is with myself.
It's the power, but it's the speed as well.
But I can't carry this heavyweight title by myself. There's always got to be someone in my corner. And that's why I believe in Glow. We have that same tenacity, that Nigerian fighting spirit that makes us game changers. You have to dig deep to be a world champion. Yeah, we Nigerians, yeah, we know all about that.
What a fight!
Glow, our halo.
Heavyweight champion of the world!
Good news is here. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, provides online registration service in order to enhance ease of doing business and provide an enabling business environment. The Commission's registration services are available online. With just a click, you can now register your business online with the CAC directly without an agent from the comfort of your homes or offices, anytime and anywhere in the world, and then pick up your certificate at any location of your choice in Nigeria. The online service has made business registration easier, cheaper, and convenient. Customers can now file and upload their documents, access and pay for the Commission's services and stamp duty online through the company registration portal. To register, log on to services.cac.gov.ng to create an account. For more information, visit our website www.cac.gov.ng. CAC, committed to prompt and efficient service.
The distinguished members of the National Assembly recently elected into the Nigerian Senate, particularly the new entrants, are cordially invited to a special meet-up and familiarization dinner to provide members the opportunity of meeting, networking, and creating the atmosphere towards a robust night assembly. Date: 14th March 2019. Venue: Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Time: 7 p.m. For details, please call 0803-58-87544. Mohammed Sani Musa, His Excellency Ibrahim Hassan, Biobarakuma Degi, Eremienyo, and Oriolowo Adeliri Adeyemi, Senators-elect, Conveners, Announcer.
Life evolves. You should too. 3G is great. 4G is better. Buy an Airtel SIM to enjoy double data on Nigeria's widest 4G network.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The National Examination Council, NECO, wishes to inform the public that registration for the 2019 National Common Entrance Examination for admission into federal government unity colleges has commenced. Eligibility: final year pupil in primary school who are less than 10 years by September 2019. Registration for the examination is done on the new NECO website, www.neco.gov.ng. Registration fee, 2,500 naira per candidate. Payments are made into NECO TSA account through ATM, instant banking, Paga, pocket money, or direct banking payment. Closing date, 8 April 2019. Examination date, 13th April 2019. For further information, please contact www.neco.gov.ng or any NECO state office nearest to you. Abubakar M. Ghana, announcer.
Like a bird needs wings to fly, you need skills to be productive. No matter the level of your education, ITF can train you to acquire skills in areas like mechatronics, metal machining, facility technology, electronics and computer networking, information and communication technology, ICT, culinary art, and agriculture. Acquire a skill and transform yourself from being unemployed to becoming even an employer. Be a valuable Nigerian youth. Say no to unemployment and poverty.
I'll spread my wings and fly so high. I'll reach for the stars, yeah, it's time.
Industrial Training Fund, developing the nation's human resource.
Thank you for rejoining us on NTA News Extra tonight. Now, the House of Representatives has passed at second reading a bill for an act to amend the Trafficking in Persons Enforcement and Administrations Act. Sponsored by Representative Samuel Ekun, it seeks the establishment of a special court for trafficking offenses.
To check these inhuman crimes meted out to unsuspecting individuals who are desperate for change.
Other features of the bill are that the governing board of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons include officials of EFCC as members and also increase penalties and criminalize certain offenses, including patronage of commercial sex. Now, well, if you were here last week, you will remember we told you the story of human trafficking involving Nigerians in Mali. Now, the good story is that the federal government is making serious commitment to not only return those girls home, but to rehabilitate and integrate them so they can smile again and pick up the pieces of their lives. Usman Aliyu tells us more about this.
Queues of desperation in Kokoyo, western region of Mali, a place in the heart of many people for good and bad memories. It's easy to understand this paradox. This is a community with dual stories. It is an environment that provides means of livelihood to gold miners from many African countries, and on the bad side, it's an arena for crimes against humanity. Girls are abused here. 357 of these girls are said to be from Nigeria, working as sex traders. They are victims of human trafficking.
Animals cannot stay in this kind of place in Nigeria, and yet these are where our young girls, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17, 18, 19-year-olds, this is where they stay, and they are held captive here for more than a year plus. You can see the distance from the nearest town to this place. Any girl that is brought here cannot escape. And many of them say they were told they were going to Malaysia, they were going to work with white people, they were going to clean homes, they were going to be housekeepers, they were going to be baby keepers, they were going to sell, and then they are trapped here.
Some of them were abducted, others deceived by those recruiting them. They are paying their masters, the madams, at least 1.5 million cefas, an equivalent of nearly 2 million naira. And it takes them minimum of 2 years to settle the madam to get their freedom. What they undergo here is unimaginable. Hoodlums can come at any time to rape and rob without apology or compensation. When we arrived, most of the girls ran away to avoid being molested. And that was how this baby was abandoned by her mother.
We have been experiencing a lot of situations from all these girls. Some of all these girls, when they bring them to Mali, they confiscate their documents. Some of them, they cut their ears, private ear, fingernails, just to get them hostage. At the end of the day, it's very, very difficult for them to get out of it when they were told that they are going to pay some amount. So many of them now, they are forced due to what they have collected, the body items they have collected from them. Some of them, if they refuse, they can be locked up for more than a week, starve them without giving them food. At the end of the day, nobody to help them, they are helpless. And they now succumb to the pressure of Madame.
As far as the Malian government is concerned, it's difficult to differentiate between those trafficked and those professional prostitutes. This is because their own judgment to identity is simple. Once you are from ECOWAS community, you can freely move. Therefore, for those registered commercial sex workers, the authorities will never infringe on what the Malian government see as their human right.
Obviously, they didn't come on their own. They were deceived by the so-called madams who lured them to bringing them here to work for them. And I can assure you that we're going to go after them and they will be prosecuted. And every penny that these young girls have worked for will be returned back to them. That's for sure.
The good story this time is Nigeria and Mali are working closely on how to track the crime collaborators, their agents, the recruiters and transporters involved in human trafficking across the two nations and seek for justice for the victims.
We are also collaborating with the Malian authorities to lay our hands on those who are behind this particular epidemic. And some people have been jailed, some people are under trial.
The federal government is planning for repatriation of these girls back home, where they will undergo rehabilitation and empowerment programs once more to smile. It is estimated that more than 30,000 Nigerian girls are currently victims of human trafficking in Mali. This set of 31 girls are prepared for returning to Nigeria. Some of them are not coming back alone, but they are coming with additional population to the country, which in the first they were not ready for, but now they have to look after.
Members of the National Assembly were major actors in the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections of the 23rd of February 2019. 18 days after, the lawmakers are back to the chamber to face yet another matter of national importance, and that is the passage of the 2019 budget. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo reports that the legislators have commenced second reading of the appropriation bill.
19th of December 2018, the day Mr. President presented the budget to the joint session of the National Assembly. It was deemed to have passed through first reading.
Support the motion, say aye.
2 months after, the Senate is now considering it for second reading. That is, debate on the general principles of the appropriation bill. Senate leader Ahmed Lawan led the debate.
Diversified and sustainable growth in order to continue to lift significant numbers of our citizens out of poverty. The underlying drivers of the 2019 revenue projections have been adjusted to reflect the current realities.
Efforts should be made to diversify further source of revenue, particularly in the rural areas.
Big move by the president. The quest of the budget has clearly shown by its content is to create an inclusive growth.
Review of the budget cycle expansion of the scope of the federal government's social intervention program, more attention to agriculture, education and health were identified as areas for improvement.
Government is making deliberate effort to reduce poverty by spending well over 500 billion naira to the very poor in our society.
Over the years, I think for the past 10 years, we've never had anything close to 50% budget implementation. And it's arising primarily from delay in budget presentation and passage.
It may be necessary, Mr. President, for the National Assembly to set a date to critically look at the funding of agriculture in Nigeria and then give priority to critical ongoing infrastructural projects. I am glad this government has done that.
They also raised concerns on Nigeria's debt and revenue profile.
And therefore, it is time for us to ensure that our debt to GDP ratio must not exceed the acceptable level.
Government should pay very, very serious attention to issues of revenue. The first is to ensure that leakages are blocked as much as possible.
Of agriculture, they are now putting more emphasis on agriculture.
We look at this budget quickly and pass it. We set a target that we must pass this budget by the end of this month.
The legislators received requests from Mr. President for the confirmation of chairman and commissioners for the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Well, the Senate also sworn in a new member, Isaac Alfa, representing Kogi East Senatorial District. He is to replace Senator Atta Idoko, who was removed by the court. Senate has adjourned to Tuesday, 19th of March, 2019. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unko, NTN News.
Now, the word inconclusive has suddenly become phenomenal in Nigeria's electoral experience, having become a subject of discourse at various fora, public and private, as fallout of the recent general elections. The House of Representatives has, in the light of this development, resolved to set up a committee to investigate it and alleged shortfalls of the recently conducted elections in Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has that report.
Upon commencement of plenary Wednesday, Representative Sunday Karimi tabled as matter of urgent public importance the declaration by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) of inconclusive elections in 6 states of the Federation and fixed Saturday, 23rd March, to conduct supplementary elections. The lawmakers deliberated extensively on the matter.
Inconclusive elections has become a demon haunting Nigeria's electoral system. Part of the problem of inconclusive elections is this House and this 8th Assembly. Because when we have to do things right, at that point, we see ourselves as APC. We see ourselves as PDP.
We politicians, I think we should also change our attitude towards elections, because we always want to win an election through a do and die affair.
The entire House unites under one platform, that we need free, fair and credible election in Nigeria.
They unanimously agreed that as an evolving democracy, Nigeria's electoral laws should, whenever the need arises, be amended to avoid such situations in future. The House also resolved to adjourn plenary to Tuesday, 19th March 2019. This is to enable re-elected lawmakers go to INEC office to receive their certificate of return on Thursday. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Well, Nigerians are beginning to come to terms with the possibility of inconclusive elections, going by recent pronouncements from the 2019 general elections. So far, in this year's general elections, INEC has declared 23 elections inconclusive at various levels. In this next report, Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk takes a look at some of the possible legal issues involved in inconclusive elections.
An
An election may be inconclusive as a result of natural or man-made issues ranging from logistics and deliberate acts of disrupting the process to the advantage of any of the participants at the expense of others. In carrying out its duties, INEC as a legal entity is guided by the Constitution, Electoral Act, judicial pronouncements, and its rules and regulations as empowered by Section 100 of the Electoral Act. Section 53 of the Electoral Act envisages inability to complete the electoral process in an election and empowers INEC to declare such process as inconclusive with the aim of concluding it through a supplementary election.
An inconclusive election is one where, going by the results of the two leading candidates and having regard to the number of polling units where elections are either cancelled or they've not taken place, the real majority cannot be determined.
From the number of votes we have received against the number of registered voters who had no opportunity of participating, whether by reason of violence, whether by reason of logistic arising from INEC's internal problem, the difference between the man who is leading and the man next to him is less than the number of registered voters who have been unable to participate in that election.
Under its rules, in declaring an election inconclusive, the Commission takes into cognizance principally the margin of lead. The margin of lead between the two leading candidates must be higher than the total number of registered voters in polling units where election has been cancelled.
One can be adjudged inconclusive if, due to violence, elections could not be conducted in substantial number of polling units.
So if, for instance, winner A is winning by 20 votes, but the total polling booths that have been cancelled amounts to, say, 80, that can change that election, that can overturn the outcome, it's only fair and proper for citizens to come together by the definition of by the definition of who wins in terms of the percentages and all of that. Then you must factor in those citizens.
It is in the light of this that INEC declared as inconclusive the process in 6 states in the governorship election.
Advice to Nigerians is the whole idea of inconclusive election is to ensure that every vote counts. And so they should be patient. They should not read meanings into it.
My appeal to politicians is that election is governed by law. Virtually everything we do about election is governed by rules of law, by provisions in the Electoral Act, in the Constitution, and guidelines issued for the conduct of the election by INEC. Therefore, some of us go into election without even familiarizing ourselves with the available provisions of the law.
The Commission, also relying on Section 26, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act, suspended the election in Rivers State due to breach of the peace. Under the law, supplementary election is expected to be conducted within 21 days. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Many thanks, Dele. Now, some elections are inconclusive, but observers on these same elections are concluded. Sounds rather predictive? Yes. Local and foreign observers have made oral submission to the political umpire INEC. But when did observing an election become a burden? Mie Ogidi tells us.
They are observers. They are not monitors of our election.
With this in mind, the 116 domestic and 29 foreign observers went to the field to observe and not to monitor the process. After observing the exercise in more than 120,000 polling units on the 23rd of February and the 9th of March, it was a case of the observer being observed, in most cases, as violence in some places became the order of the day.
Very wrong one. Not even beating. Somebody died. Some persons were killed in the course of doing observation. Some observer was killed in Enugu, or shot in Enugu.
Despite this experience, the observers' notes were explicit with details of violations of electoral guidelines, late arrival of materials, non-functional smart card readers, and unprofessional conduct of some security personnel in most cases. So, what is the way forward?
If you can use technology to transmit election results from the polling unit, it will build citizens' confidence in the process.
The INEC should actually ensure that the polling officials arrive there an hour before voting starts.
This debriefing exercise serves as a precursor to the more comprehensive reports that the Commission is expecting from the various groups.
If these recommendations are implemented by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, there is going to be a great improvement in the elections come 2023 and some off-season elections before then. However, the observers will still go to the field on the 23rd of March 2019 to observe some of the elections that are yet to be concluded by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. After that, they will going to submit their reports officially to INEC for deliberations and implementation. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
You're watching News Extra on the network service of the NTA. Up next is a special report on expectations beyond celebration after the elections. Stay with us.
Recommended by experts, new Lifebuoy is now in Nigeria. Not just Lifebuoy, new Lifebuoy. Lifebuoy.
I thought leaving the country was the best decision for me and my future.
I left for a better life.
We were picked up by immigration officials and sent to a detention camp.
I spent 8 months in the detention camp.
There was no food, no water.
I saw people being beaten like animals.
Some women were raped. Some women were sold as slaves.
I thought I would never see my loved ones again.
I have made the biggest mistake of my life.
I have wasted all my savings.
I have to start all over again.
Migration is a human phenomenon which cannot be stopped. But if we choose to migrate, we advocate that it should be done in a safe, orderly, regular, and dignified way, and not in a dangerous and tortuous manner.
This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons.
Good to know you're still out there watching News Extra tonight. Now, taking stock of political activities, particularly with the outcome of the 2019 general elections, witnessed across the country with gales of celebrations and appreciation by the people for various reasons. Well, for reruns in some states, it is almost over. And going forward, the people of Nasarawa State say they are united towards sustaining long-standing unity and peaceful coexistence for development, despite political differences. Here is Hamza Musa Makarfi from Lafia.
Celebration is transient, and what may be left is the sense of fulfillment.
Politics is more of reason than emotion. Now, if you understand the content of democracy itself, in definition of democracy, the educational component is very high, talking about the reason why it has to be like that.
Stakeholders say the vision of founding fathers of Nasarawa State must continue to be cherished and nurtured, while appealing to the people to exemplify strong disposition to unite for progress. The people say the Buhari administration is expected to consolidate on projects it has started, while the new government of Governor-elect Abdullahi Alajusele builds on the legacies of Governor Umaru Tanko Almakura.
It is the will of the people. And what is the will of people is to see advancement, is to see development in the state, in the society, in the community, or in the nation. So keep on reminding them, these are what you told us. It is like a bargain.
As leaders now, what we expect from them is to embrace everybody, embrace the opposition. Politicking is over. The new password now is administration, governance.
There is also the need for the government in whatever category to provide for the entire Nigerian people. We know also as a government we have a country, we have a territory to provide for. And in that case, we should not renege. We should do our best to make every Nigerian happy.
This is one of the most important projects of the federal government, electricity infrastructure of the highest level under NIPP in Nasarawa State. There are 5 other projects, including Abuja, Kefi, Akwanga, Lafia, Makodi Road Dualization, Akwanga, Jos Bauchi, Nasarawa Loku, and Loku Oweto Bridge, Wamba Bokos Road Project, as well as Parurua Dam Project by the federal government in Lafia. Hamza Musa Magalpi, NTA News.
Now, 2 extreme ends of Nigeria, Kano and Port Harcourt. It's all about appeals for restraint and peace. In Kano, it was the Emir, Muhammad Sanusi III. In Port Harcourt, it is some traditional rulers, chiefs and elders in Rivers State who are expressing satisfaction with the decision of the federal government to deploy security forces to counter potential security breaches in the conduct of the general elections. Now, this comes as the group also wants the continued military presence in the state and immediate release of the collated governorship election results to douse possible tension in the state.
The elders, chiefs, and traditional rulers met in Port Harcourt to review political developments against the backdrop of the suspended electoral processes in the state. The group is concerned with the security situation in Rivers State, especially the negative publicity associated with the state each time elections are held.
We believe that the continued adequate military protection and presence during and after the electoral process will sanitize our state. We must pledge our unalloyed support to the president.
Comparatively with past elections, the elders and traditional rulers expressed delight at the decision by President Buhari to deploy the military to the state, saying that their presence helped matters.
We are saying allow the army to stay and finish their job, and that the result should be released. They should not doctor the result.
To avoid further crisis in the state, announce the results as they were brought in from the local government council.
They commended the Chief of Army Staff, GOC 6th Division, and the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State for their roles to ensure the safety of voters. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Now, in every contest, there is a valiant. For the International Human Rights Commission, one of the foreign observers that monitored the conduct of the 2019 general elections, the Nigerian army is one of the heroes that, according to it, was professional in the face of provocation during the elections. The group presented a plaque to the army in Abuja. Francis Form was there in our reports.
The International Human Rights Commission has been involved in a number of developmental programs in bridging gaps, particularly in civil and political matters. It is against this background of its credibility that the Independent National Electoral Commission accredited the organization alongside other observers to monitor the conduct of the 2019 general elections in the country. The organization, like other foreign observers, are happy with the exercise and unanimously agreed that the Nigerian army has discharged its duties in a professional manner.
We urge you most passionately to continue to do more so that the culture of excellence is institutionalized in the Nigerian army long after your service years. Planned actions.
Major General Alinani, who is the Chief of Policy and Plans at the Army Headquarters, thanked the organization for the honor. He noted that the Nigerian Army will continue to abide by the laws of engagement.
We are therefore happy to see international organizations of repute of this nature applauding our contribution to the growth of democracy in Nigeria.
Since inception, the International Human Rights Commission has focused on monitoring and the implementation of the Universal Protocol on human rights to ensure that the universal objectives is achieved in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Now, when you hear words such as play out in the political arena and pattern of voting, what readily comes to mind? Elections, right? Well, you are on point. These words, analysts say, played out in the 2019 elections with surprises and interesting issues. But how does this play out for the electorate and consolidation of the nation's political culture? Talatu Ezirike takes it up from here.
Since the return to democracy in 1999, Nigerians gear up every 4 years to elect their leaders. The exercise, analysts say, is characterized with irregularities as issues such as rigging, ballot box snatching, godfatherism, vote buying, imposition of candidates, and violence were almost the order of the day. But there is a change in the ugly narrative, especially with the play out at the recent election, as the pattern of voting moved from party to individuals in order to advance the nation's democratic culture.
It was a positive development because some being political and party leaders, they thought the party was their personal property or their personal estate. So because of greediness and irresponsibility, they lost their states.
Simple adherence to internal democratic processes of getting the people's choice to fly the party, flags, honestly speaking, is a serious problem.
Make public offices financially unattractive. First of all, it is only in underdeveloped countries that membership of the legislative houses are full-time business. It is normally part-time, and you only get sitting allowances.
For others, the need for restraint on matters that overheat the polity.
Politicians don't always adhere to the rules. And if they do that, we are not going to have issues.
We're not going to blame INEC for people who are snatching buses. Every person, whether it is this candidate E, candidate EB, candidate C, candidate Z, anything that happens in that particular constituency, that particular politician should be held responsible. All right.
The way forward, many agreed, is for a collective resolve in building right democratic culture for sustainable development. Talatu Ezirike, NTA News.
Many thanks, Talatu. Now, post-harvest loss is the worst experience to an average farmer than losing election to a politician. We'll tell you more about this when we return in just a moment. Stay with us.
Sore throat, it's often caused by bacteria and viruses. Feels like they're having a party. You need Strepsils. It soothes the pain, plus it fights the germs with 2 germ-killing actives. Double power in 1 lozenge. Bye-bye sore throat. Take Strepsils.
Hey, where's your mom?
Today is her toilet day.
What?
Helen!
Toilet day? Tomorrow you're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with all this, it still won't be party ready.
Impossible!
Challenge?
New Ticker Harpic 10X.
Even if you use this solution 10 times, it won't give you the same cleaning like Harpic because its new Ticker formulation sticks to the bowl better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow! New Harpic 10X
gives me the freedom from toilet day.
Everybody dance now.
What? Louder. We are the strongest. No challenge can stop us. So Lord, and we are the brightest. No darkness can blind us. We are the strongest.
Malta Guinness is packed with B vitamins to fuel your greatness.
You're welcome back, and our Lagos Network studio is where we go next to bring you business news with Abolade Salami.
Thank you, Fatima. Good evening and welcome to Business News segment. Following the crash in yields of treasury bills at the fixed income market in February, Analysts have projected that the market is likely to remain in favor of long-term investors. With yields at current level, experts have advised domestic and institutional investors to take profits on short-dated securities while deferring the benefit at the long end of the curve.
Research believes that the Nigerian Treasury bill yield are likely to be influenced by the level of liquidity in the banking system, the short-term borrowing needs of the government, and the need to maintain price stability.
Exploring the entire manufacturing value chain for an improved economic performance will require a new dimension driven by technology. President, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mansur Ahmed, stated this at a forum in Lagos. Nigeria's manufacturing sector contributes at least 9% to the nation's GDP. This contribution, stakeholders in the manufacturing sector say, can be deepened through increase in value addition.
With confidence that the bold and dynamic policies and purposive initiatives introduced by the administration, which have helped to rescue the economy from recession and redirect it towards sustainable and inclusive growth, will not only be sustained, but will be scaled up.
They submitted that for the manufacturing sector to further contribute to the country's GDP, government needs to implement economic policies that will boost operational capacity of local producers. And now let's talk equities. The market records of 0.15% at the close of today's trading. Here's the details. As of Wednesday's trading, the market rebounded by 0.15% to close the all-share index at 31,360.28 basis points. Volume of shares traded stood at 377 million, valued at 2.2 billion naira, which exchanged hands in 3,273 deals. Market capitalization finished at 11.69 trillion naira. Nestle, CAP, and Okomo Oil posted gains, while Guinness, Dangote Cement, and Dangote Flour closed in the red territory. The banking sector, as well as consumer goods, came out strong on sectoral performance, appreciating by 0.04% and 1.60%, while NSE Industrial and NSE Insurance dropped in figures, depreciating by 0.35% and 0.02%. As for the oil and gas sector, its performance on week-to-date closed at 0.36%. And that does it on business news. News Extra continues shortly with Fatima in Abuja. Good evening.
Many thanks, Alami. Now, the Buhari Media Organization says the peaceful conduct of the 2019 general elections in Nigeria, in which President Muhammadu Buhari was re-elected, has restored confidence in the Nigerian economy, with foreign direct investment growing and boosting the prospects of the largest economy in Africa. The organization noted that figures collated by its economic team and various credible sources indicate that the $16 billion traditional outflow reported by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in December 2018 on the eve of the elections has ended, with many of them returning alongside other investors in the real sector. The federal government has taken a step further to ensure that the earlier approved leather and leather products policy in Nigeria is implemented to boost the economy. This is coming with the inauguration of the National Steering Committee on the Strategic Implementation Plan of the policy by the Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu. Justin Bem Unyi has that report.
More than 10,000 farmers were earmarked for the program under agro-processing productivity enhancement and livelihood improvement support. It was designed to enhance value chain for rice, wheat, and tomato. To achieve this, relevant stakeholders were assembled for cross-fertilization of ideas among participants with a view to equipping farmers with a modern technology in processing farm produce.
Cottage processing through reducing post-harvest loss of these three value chain. And that's why we feel it's very important we develop this medium where we can share ideas and then help the unit of appeals on agro-processing through post-harvest loss reduction.
As part of the opinion that farmers must key into the new technologies for improved yield and production. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Now, hope rose for Nigeria's water, sanitation and hygiene wash sector when the President Muhammadu Buhari launched a national action plan late last year to turn around the sector. Now, moving a step further, Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu says the federal government is now engaging state governments on the need to internalize the program for holistic results. Musbaut Anwahab reports that the minister was speaking in Abuja at a media workshop on the water subsector.
Side by side, the quest for water for all is sanitation. It is a situation Nigeria has to fight vigorously and fast too, as the country might soon be exposed as top in the global ranking of open defecation. Water Resources Minister is worried that more than 40 million people still indulge in the practice. This is one of the unfavorable statistics the WASH Action Plan seeks to address, but the success, the minister says, is dependent on the readiness of the state government to cooperate fully as the federal government is set to scale up campaign.
We need to set it and get the buy-in of the state government. If they don't buy in, every effort that we're making at federal level is not going to be effective. And our target first is to address behavioral change, so we need a mass campaign.
With the National Water Resources Bill still awaiting concurrence of the Senate, the ministry maintains that when passed into law, it will establish regulatory framework for equitable distribution of the nation's water resources. Speakers from various departments of the ministry also highlighted their numerous strides in irrigation, sanitation and water supply subsectors.
31 of these projects have been completed, and this cost to about 3 billion naira investment in the purpose of government.
With various new policies and programs brought about by the current administration, Minister Suleiman Adamu says is proud that the ministry now has a new direction for development. In Abuja, Musbau and Wahab, NC News.
Well, we're back with the news about the implementation of the Mambila hydroelectricity project, unarguably one of the massive critical infrastructure interventions under the federal government in renewable energy, with the prospects of charting a new course of prosperity for the nation. Now, signifying its intention to walk the talk and ensure work commences in earnest this year, the Federal Executive Council awarded the contract for the demarcation of specific areas of land to give way for the actualization of the plant in Sardauna local government area of Taraba State. Hamza Musa Makarfi, who has been following developments on the project, brings to News Extra things you need to remember.
For more than 4 decades, the Mambila project has been on the drawing board, with initial consultancy by Moto Columbus in 1972 and similar ones in 1981, 85 and 2011. It is a new course of prosperity under the Buhari presidency, as the contract with 3 Chinese companies under joint venture undertaking to do the work at the cost of $5.8 billion has since been signed. Out of the total amount, federal government is making available $869 million as 15% of funding, while Chinese Exim Bank and lenders will contribute $4.92 billion. With this expenditure, the expectations is to construct 4 dams with 12 turbines. Each will deliver a little more than 250 megawatts, bringing the total to 3,050.
That is the foundation for wealth, for employment, for prosperity.
But the power must be evacuated.
Government is looking ahead and building capacities in anticipation of the delivery of Mambila hydroelectricity plant.
Existing corridors in Takum, Wukari, Yendeb and Lafia as well as the completed Apiary substation in Makadi, can evacuate significantly from Mambila to parts of the country. This is because from the plant, there will be 700 kilometers of double-circuit lines to supply the substations. Other highlights of the scope of work include construction of 120-kilometer access road and resettlement of 100,000 people. The 830 million naira approved by government recently is for 9 surveying companies that will work preparatory to payment of compensation and actual construction of the dam, which is to provide turnaround in many areas of economic development. Hamza Musa Magalpi, NTA News.
Still to come, update on sports and a bit on the foreign scene.
Your perfect family is under threat by germs. Infectious diseases are now the world's biggest killer of adults and children. These infectious diseases are caused by germs. They are everywhere. An average human being comes in contact with over 1 million germs daily in unclean water, dirty surfaces, in the toilets, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes. Germs can cause deadly diseases like typhoid, diarrhea, flu, and cough. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's One Capful for surface cleaning in your bathing water, in your laundry water, for first aid to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Introducing Dettol Antiseptic Liquid in Sachet for only 40 naira.
Endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Good to have you join us again. Now, Yobe State is one of the states with a high rate of renal disorder in Nigeria, with women and children becoming more vulnerable to the scourge. Hard to believe as this is. It was unfortunately confirmed by medical experts who attributed the prevalence of the disease in the northern part of Yobe to lack of forensic research on the root causes of the ailment in the affected areas. Hussein Mohammed Isa has that report.
Is located in the northern part of Yobe State with about 300,000 population and is blessed with mineral resources including potash and iron. The major source of water of the town is through wash boreholes from ground surface where the abundant mineral resources are deposited. The town is recently experiencing rampant chronic kidney disease, which preliminary investigations revealed that the alarming cases of the disease in northern part of Yobe may not be unconnected with a particular mineral resource that is combined with the groundwater, leading to renal disorder and failure. According to statistics obtained from Federal Medical Center Inguru from 2013 to 2017, the center recorded a total of 968 established cases of chronic kidney disease from the 4 local governments of Yobe North, with Bade local government having 588 patients of the disease. This has made the council highest in kidney disease, with women and youth topping the list of the affected victims of the scourge. According to the medical director of the Federal Medical Center Inguru, Dr. Abubakar Muhammad Musa, the growing number of kidney cases in the northern part of Yobe can only be reversed through expert research and investigation on the causes of the ailment.
The first thing is, one, find out the cause of disease. 2, people who are living in this area. It's good to organize like a screening exercise for them, especially after identifying vulnerable groups.
Emir of Bade Abubakar Umar Suleiman, who described the high rate of kidney disease in his domain as worrisome, appealed to authorities concerned to take proactive measures to curb the spread of the disease.
Appealing to government and the donor agencies to assist us on the research. What are the causes?
About 3 researches were carried out by different groups on the causes of the rampant kidney disease in the northern part of Yobe, but they are inconclusive due to lack of funds to complete them. From Gashua Town, I am Hussein Mohammed Isa, NTA News.
Now, statistics show that Ondo State is one of the states in the country that has recorded a drastic reduction in maternal mortality. There are indeed greater efforts on ground to further reduce the number of women who die through childbirth, as over 6,000 pregnant women across the 18 local government areas of the state have received birth kits from the wife of the state governor, Mrs. Betty Akeredolu. Olubukola Aduon has the rest of that report.
This is Tolulokpa Ojo, a 26-year-old mother of one who is also expecting a second child, and what is paramount on her mind is how to get necessary materials for the safe delivery of our baby.
Will help me during the delivery.
All our children also will be able to meet great people in future.
Out of 303,000 women that died globally due to complications of pregnancy and childbirth in 2015, 53,000 of them are Nigerians.
Statistics show that Ondo State is one of the states that has been able to reduce maternal mortality ratio by 84.9%. That is from 745 per 100,000 live births in 2009 to 50 per 100,000 live births in 2018.
To sustain the tempo, the wife of the Ondo State Governor, Mrs. Betty Akeredolu, used the platform of this year's International Women's Day to attend to some of the core needs of expectant mothers in the state.
This kit will help me in delivering my baby, because if I want to buy baby materials now, I will not be able to add this one to it.
And this kit will help me in a long way, because we thank you so much for this great opportunity given to us.
This is where the government comes in and see how we can make pregnancy or maternal care affordable and all the rest of them. So that's my interest.
The gesture was also extended to the 18 local government areas of the state. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
And a bit on sports now. The new office building of the Nigerian Football Federation, NFA, is yet to be occupied, almost 6 years after inauguration in 2013. Amanzi Marcus reports that the non-occupation of the Sunday Dankaro House is beyond money.
Lagos remains the first official place associated with football administration in Nigeria, and Market Street on Lagos Island had the first office of the football ruling body in the country. But before then, the British colonial masters ran the business of football from unofficial quarters. When the National Sports Committee evolved into the National Sports Commission, football administration moved to the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos, and then to Ogulana Drive within the same area. In 1997, the Glass House in Zone 7 area of Abuja became the new home of Nigerian football.
And spilled by Yobe, and a goal for Greece.
Nigeria's poor performance at the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa meant early exit and excess fund remained, which was used by the Presidential Task Force for the World Cup to construct this new office complex for the Nigeria Football Federation. Built at a cost of about 350 million naira, work was completed in 2013 and inaugurated on 18th July 2013 by then Vice President Mohamed Namadi Sembo on behalf of the former President Goodluck Jonathan. The new office complex of Nigeria Football Federation is named after Sunday Dankaro, chairman of the Nigeria Football Association, when the Green Eagles won the country's first Nations Cup trophy at the National Stadium in Lagos in 1980.
How can you be renting a house and a house has been built to you, finished, for the past 6 years? You find it difficult to move into the house.
All the furniture that have been imported, I think, have arrived. It's just installations and also the security apparatus that will be put in the office. We thought by January, February, would have moved to the new site. But I think very soon you'll see us moving to the new site.
And that's all the time we have for News Extra tonight. Do make it a date with us. Same time, same station next week. We'll be here with another interesting package. Until then, on behalf of everyone out here, I thank you for joining us, and I wish you a pleasant night rest.